Hey everyone, it's Brandon here again for another video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about motivation from an advanced spiritual perspective. This is going to be how motivation works and how you can get motivated. So, the idea is that right now, in your direct experience, you're a human being. That's the idea that we're going to be working with. Right now, you're a human being having a direct experience. There is the appearance of causes and conditions to everything, essentially, or at least many things, in your direct experience right now in conceptual thought maps. A lot of people get this wrong and they say, okay, well then let's throw out the conceptual thought maps, or let's get the states of consciousness so crazy that there are no conceptual thought maps, and then we're doing really well. This is right to an extent. This is very important. You do want to be able to tap into experience like in a quote-unquote mindful way where you're really with the sensations of the moment. But when you advance mindfulness to closer to its conclusion, I'm not going to say I'm at mindfulness's conclusion yet. Its max capabilities, definitely not. I don't know if any human being or any being whatsoever ever has gotten to that capability. I would argue that they haven't. The idea is, though, there are causes and conditions. Apparently, there's the appearance of causes and conditions for pretty much everything. The cause of this, hoodie right now, like I'm talking to you in this advanced, like non-dual-ish kind of spiritual perspective, really beyond non-dualism. Uh, you can't really talk about what the hell this thing is I'm gonna try to use to talk about all this, like what's doing the talking all this. I can't talk about that. I really have no clue. Nobody has a clue. That's the one thing I know. It's not just I know one thing that I know nothing. It's I know one thing. Not a single motherfucker out there knows a damn thing about this. What I'm using to talk about this, what is talking right now, what isn't talking right now, everything in between, every micro sensation, sorry. Oh, well, they're basically cessations too, because they're fucking gone immediately. As soon as something's sensed, it is gone. A lot of people don't realize this because they haven't tapped into deeper parts of mindfulness where they see even the physical objects in your field of experience are changing at an infinite rate, at an infinite resolution, all the fucking time. And every one, every time you see change in reality, the quickest, smallest, or biggest, or most powerful change you can ever see is a marker that something has been lost. Something is gone, essentially, in the exact nature it existed forever. And this happens at the micro level of sensation, or you could say perception. Some people get all these ideas like perception isn't real or something. Whatever, call it sensation. There's little shit happening, man. That's my argument. There's little shit happening, and if you're honest with yourself and you're a human being having a direct experience right now where you're watching, where you're at least in a state where you're watching a person on YouTube, you're feeling this too. This is what you're made out of, and I'm telling you, this is how it works. You can disagree with me, whatever. This is my best possible fucking thesis based on my direct experience, everything I've done, over 10,000 hours into spiritual development work has been done. Over $100,000 in net worth has been risked in order to get to the deepest awakenings possible. I'm talking about awakenings so deep that you will be lucky to not get into legal trouble in some of these awakenings. They happen in a public place. Good luck. Doesn't matter if you're on substance, off substance. You're going to be lucky to get out. It's a good thing I had, the fucking mental illness card kind of firmly established before some of this shit happened, or I might have ended up in jail. And it's not that I was trying to harm anyone or anything. It's just, you have to realize if you reach one of these states of consciousness, there's no control, there's no going back, there's no stop button. You're not in control anymore is a big point of it, but you're also everything in control of itself, knowing its full power or at least a far deeper degree of its power and its own sovereignty. And when you realize that, I know there are other people out there who their ego structure runs into that experience directly. It's going to start to do some really ballsy stuff because it really knows I'm fucking it as far as this is concerned. But there's also the other point that it is the whole field of experience, which means rather than not acting in a moral way, you should act in a ridiculously moral way, both to yourself and the world. And it's a really hard balance to find where you can be in a good enough place where you can actually continue to act that way and act in a moral way. You need to be in a pretty wholesome state of consciousness. That's something that certain like strains of Buddhism have taught me to do fairly well. Have wholesome experience. You're not thinking about any negative things or like low conscious, how you hate people things or fear or nothing. You're just in a positive, deeply satisfying state of mind everywhere. That's your life. You live it. That's a really powerful teaching. But though, anyway, we're talking about motivation here. And I realize I just went off on some tangents, but it's building up for me to talk about motivation. You guys have to realize this. My direct experience right now is trying to give you information about motivation. But on the way, it just must note that this shit's going on too. This shit's really important. I mean, you might even look at it as like a little, cut in a newsreel, like telling you different fucking information about shit. That's kind of what my direct experience is trying to do right now on motivation. When you realize there isn't a character in control, nor is there a meta character in control, you're creating the identity of God. What you say God is might be what I'm talking about, maybe. Could be. If you've gone really deep, it could be. Or it could be something that good to you, at least. The idea still is, though, that it is changing so quickly it does not have an identity. Like you, right now, your experience is changing so quickly it cannot have an identity. It cannot possibly have one. But it simultaneously contains all fucking identities. This shit is stupid. How deep it gets. It doesn't make any sense. I don't believe it. Yet it is here before my eyes all the time, to a degree. I can take it deeper, doing certain spiritual practices. I can, but I can also just tune into normal life. You realize you can put on any lens of identity and belief. These are all just little thought trains. Any concept you ever hear about is a little thought train. If you fall into the belief of it, and you really think it's going to happen, you really have faith, and you really pour everything into that thought or that piece of knowledge or that practice or that spiritual practice or that discipline, whatever it is, you start to really do that discipline. You know, especially when you finally get to the spiritual disciplines and you realize at the level of occurrence, like, what the fuck is happening right now? Completely in control of itself. There's just not really an it that's really there. It's an illusion of an it. It's already gone. Like, I can't grasp on to the control to stop this because I am precisely the one-to-one absolute exact fucking thing as it. But it is in control of itself, but it isn't a stable thing anywhere, ever. It is a constant moving thing, like fucking every sense door fucking just slamming you from every angle. You realize every sensation can be more potent and do more things than every sensation you've ever had. This is the potential. This is the belief. This is the theory. This is a thought train. You believe in this shit. You try to align your direct experience with it because of your own bias. You start to experience more shit that works like it, or at least provides deeper insight into it, which might even show that it's kind of bullshit at the end of it. It might. But it also might show that this is just a thing that works. This is a thought belief system that I can attach myself to that will drill me into deeper and deeper states of consciousness. It really does get intense on the other side. I don't know what the other side is, but precisely like what the best dividing line you should make for all people as far as awakenings are concerned, where someone's awake and someone's not awake, or how awake someone is compared to another. These are all crazy ideas. It's just the direct experience happening now. If you're listening to me, you're most likely, I would say, this pretty damn similar ultimately compared to the possible configurations that consciousness can do within all sensations of your experience as they change at an infinite speed right now, like inside of you, as you, all the thoughts of you, those are made up of little sensations too, or at least you can awaken to that that sort of fidelity of that level of fidelity of consciousness. But and then there's thoughtless thoughts. They just do themselves. They're just sensations happening. A lot of it's sound. Like you could say Brandon Rowe's having a thought. What does that mean? Brandon Rowe does not have an internal voice right now. He just hears his own voice coming out. Now, sometimes you can have an internal voice. I could create an internal voice right now. But right now, I'm just in such a flow state that I'm actually hearing the words in real time. So I'm actually here with you. As you're watching this, I'm on the same edge. I don't know what the fuck is coming next. And, you know, to some people that might be like, oh, why would you want to be that way? Well, you don't know what it's like. I mean, I feel like I have actually ultimately in many measurable ways became more skillful in my life, even to the betterment of my health and mental health, by living like this. My last video was, you know, on living in accordance with the Tao. You have to look at me and you have to realize this is I mean, as far as what people are going to share on the internet, not just the information, not just the content, not just the insights, but the energy, the rawness, the authenticity. Is anybody really coming at you just letting it all out, completely out of control to their full self having control of exactly what it wants to be in the nanosecond of time as it's occurring over and over and over and over again? This appearance is living itself. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And so is yours. Or at least that is what seems to be potentially a deeper base layer of perception than common human consciousness, where you think you're an ego and you feel like you can actually control limbs as they move. You don't realize the level of perception happens so fast. The thoughts and the ego and the personality structure and even the perception of it all happens in the past. So it can never actually control anything. So how do you get motivated from there? Now, this is a tricky subject to try to answer to you. How do you get motivated from this realization that you are experience doing itself? Well, ultimately, experience just is going to love certain things. My experience loves lifting weights, or at least many aspects of it. It loves it, so it does it. That's it. The end. It loves it, so it does it. You also have natural preferences, but you might not have actually ever allowed yourself to fully ease into those in an intelligent and balanced way, with a lot of sophistication as far as your own personality is concerned. How can it live its best, healthiest experience? I am ultimately about being healthier, and I say this stuff because I've been healthier than I've really had ever in the past, overall, holistically. And it ultimately just takes falling in love with your passions in the moment, but also in a planned way. You're so in love for your passion that you'll actually take the time to plan. You'll take the time to track things meticulously. Like, I've been tracking my macros. It's all about alignment. Motivation's all about alignment of appearances. So Brandon Rowe likes the result that fitness brings. He looks better, he feels better, he has more energy, he's more productive, whatever. It happens because the direct experience loves that aspect, and it loves it so much that it realizes it's going to take time and discipline to improve in that area and in that direction. But it loves it so much it's going to do it anyway. Those are the things in life you know you really love. People might talk about love like Leo Gura. There are other types of love, and I know he's experienced plenty. So this is no criticism to him. Guy's doing great as far as I'm concerned compared to many people. You know, he's got his faults, so do I. Obviously, you've seen plenty of them in this video. Or at least I hope you would have seen plenty. I mean, I'm sure if I watch this back tomorrow, I'll be in a different state. And I will just say, man, that was kind of weird how I said that, or that wasn't too well connected. As I'm living the moment, there's not that chance. Experience happens too quickly. You're always in the past operating. So the real thing is, can you have the balls to take such a maximum feminine approach to experience itself, and just, it happens automatically, really. When you lose all sense of control of a personality, it becomes itself fully. There's no illusion of some operator consciousness happening here and a fake character here. And, you know, the operator consciousness has its own mechanism of control, which by definition has to be sovereign of itself and both of the entity. So now that's really kind of the thing that does your will, right? And there's one for the ultimate, you know, consciousness, like it has its own will thing that controls all of consciousness, just the will, just doing it. No, there's no will. These are all crazy fabrications. It is what the fuck you are feeling right now. That's what matters. That's what you're feeling. You right now. That's exactly as your entire being, entire perception of everything. Everything beyond, behind, above, below perception, not perception. Everything in between, not perception and perception. Every opposite multiplied by, you know, its tangential Brandon Rowe personality structure, synthesized fucking piece of shit. This doesn't make any sense, man. How deep this gets. This can seem as bizarre to you as you want, man. This is ultimately just how it works. Reality is so damn crazy. You could never understand it. And I know, because I'm one of the most crazy motherfuckers and also had a bit of a decent chance of trying to understand it. And you have to realize, if my understanding of it doesn't sound like something that makes sense to you, well then all I can say is you're not having a direct experience like this. And I'm just arguing, this is a pretty good one. I'm saying there are many aspects of Brandon Rowe that I think people could benefit from learning from. I am in love with my life. That's the ultimate statement. I am in love with my life. There's no difference between I and the life. It's lived right now on the very edge. Where you really are, if there is really a you, if there's some capital S self or God or direct experience that's really there, some kind of thing, somehow, some fucking philosophical void entity concept thing, that self thing's really there with a capital S, and it's everything as it happens right now. It's ultimately the same thing we're talking about then. If you take any of these avenues deep enough, I'm sure it'll burst into a million different insights for you like it has for me. And, you know, people think of insights, they talk about them in like language. Man, the insights I'm talking about cannot be described. They can't even be captured. They're too elusive. They're so quick. They're the ultimate prey, but you can chase after them anyway. I'm chasing after the prey of deeper insights at the level of perception, things that really it does make sense to say are even beyond perception. I'm actually digging deep into for insight. I'm eating everything. I'm running after every illusion, chasing it with maximum force. It's like I've maybe not become more motivated for one single thing. Like, I mean, I've like above all others. Your focus is going to change. Your desire is going to change. So what alignment is desire, focus, this appearance doing itself as direct experience, all consciousness, Brahman, whatever you want to call it, whatever thing, whatever, you know, mislabel you want to slap on the lunchbox of your stupid illusion of direct experience, it's nothing close to the real thing. Mine isn't, nobody's is gonna be. It's felt, it's lived, it's happening right now, and you can do nothing but go fully into it 100%. There are no breaks. There are no stop signs. You and your direct experience is infinite nature and potential and will of itself happening right now. Complete sovereignty, because there is not even an entity of itself. It doesn't exist now. It is a changing, fluxing, living thing. The Tao, what I would call it, is this shit right here, happening right now in some of the most miraculous ways. I know for a fact, there is most likely like maybe a handful of people that I could say this to and I would think like, okay, maybe they at least have access to something kind of this deep. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. It's not that even my awakening is deeper than everybody else's or something. It's just that you have to realize this is what deep awakening looks like through this personality structure, through this set of causes and conditions. Apparent. You know, they appear to be causes and conditions. This hand is moving because I'm a human, right? Or because I'm a living being, or because there's a will. Maybe you say there aren't humans, there's no living beings, but you say there's a will. Then I'm doing that. But I'm not. I'm not in control of this. It is faster than any structure of ego can be created to react to it. It just lives itself. Neurologists have even seen similar things like this as far as reaction and how the brain even works. It's incredible. So that's my take on motivation. I have no idea if it's going to help, but I have better physique results. I'm getting promotions at work, like hearing really good stuff from managers overall. Getting the physique results, that I'm also going deeper into spirituality. I'm actually studying a lot and meditating more and doing deeper, sober consciousness practices like meditation, vipassana, fire kasina, anapanasati. The list goes on. Third eye chakra meditation, heart meditation, metta. I'm just diving through life in different, very nice states of consciousness. Always accessible, anytime you could ever want. At your fingertips, within your own control. This is what I'm saying some of you might have a chance at getting at. Is you just keep awakening deeper and deeper and deeper. That's your goal. Unstoppable. You cannot satiate yourself. You have infinite desire and will to go in this direction of awakening. or at least that can be in a certain appearance that can occur within direct experience, at least I'll argue, because that's how it appears to me. This is just happening of its own accord. I really don't have any control of this shit. But at the same time, the character is living itself, doing exactly what it wants, at least. But that's the appearance of a character happening. That's already gone. It's already happened. You're living on the edge. Now, of course, there's still going to be the same importance of following all the relative truths of, this is my awakening. This is my, life. I'm a human being. I have a job. I have this. I have that. It's like putting more effort into life ultimately comes through love, which comes through desire and attraction in a certain direction. It's all quote unquote illusion. It's all quote unquote empty of inherent existence. It's not to say that it necessarily doesn't exist completely, but it's just saying it's lacking inherent existence. It's also interconnected that it ultimately kind of self-destructs itself. It's kind of odd how that works. But that's basically all I have for this video. Yeah, motivation. It's a hard one for me to talk about. So yeah, hope that helps.